Annie Bosko.
Annie, I'm a fan, and I was talking to Joe Nichols about you. And, you know, you guys have the song together. And I was like, oh, I see Annie Bosko all over Instagram and TikTok. So thanks for coming in. I really appreciate it.
I mean, the honor is mine because I've literally I listened to you for so many years, and to see you in the flesh is very surreal. It's like he's a real person.
Yeah, how is the old flesh looking? Pretty good?
It looks great.
Yeah.
Even better in the flesh.
I don't even wash my face.
Oh my gosh.
I never wash my face. How about that for a flesh story?
You know, guys have it so easy. We have like a 5-step program before we go to bed.
I have no nighttime routine.
Yeah.
I don't wash my face because anytime I do, I break out. It's the opposite of what should happen.
Okay.
So therefore, I wash my body.
Okay, that's
Thank
good.
goodness.
But not my face. But this is not about what I wash and I don't wash. A couple questions, Annie. First of all, this has nothing to do with music, but am I correct? Did you burn yourself real bad?
Oh my gosh, yeah. It's
with like a rice cooker? Is that what it was?
An Instant Pot. It's a pressure cooker. When I'm off the road, I love cooking. It's one of my passions, very meditative. I'd used it for a while, yes. And needless to say, it got all over me. It was traumatic.
Whose error?
That's a good question. According to some people, me, and according to some people, the Instant Pot, for sure.
And did you have injuries?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean, I actually just saw a doctor yesterday as a follow-up, but I was covered in 2nd-degree burns all over my stomach, my arm, like my chest. It was terrible.
God.
And 2 days later, I had 10 shows in a row, including Stagecoach. And I had to like get on a plane and go play 10 shows in a row.
I didn't know it was that real.
Mm-hmm.
So what about like legal representation? Like, is there an Instapot versus...
If there are any attorneys that are
Annie
listening
versus
to me on
Instapot?
the air,
That's a story.
I'm just saying.
Let's just...
the song you did with Joe,
Yeah.
Better Than You, how did you guys come together? Because I love Joe, known Joe forever.
Truly one of the greatest voices in country music, and that's surreal too, to be like, oh, I talked to Joe Nichols about you. You know, the fact that this is so wild for me, and I moved here 18 years ago to do this, so to be in this room now with you, you guys have no idea how much this means to me.
Thank you.
And to work with someone, of his caliber. I always joke, I'm like, my dad's Joe, my brother's Joe, my nephew's Joe. We're a family of Joes, so it was super appropriate that I would do a duet with Joe. My brother's favorite song is Joe's Place. And I told Joe that. He, broke out and sang it right away. And really, Benny Brown was the one that put us together and said, I'd love for you guys to do a song together. And Derek George, who wrote the song with Michael Pierce, pitched the song, and I heard it, and it was like, that's the one I want to do with him. I think this is strong. It shows it's going to be a vocal showpiece. It feels powerful. It's like those Faith and Tim, duets that like I grew up on, that I loved so much, that had like the emotion and the passion in them. And so yeah, it was just like one of my favorite collaborations ever.
What is your move to Nashville story?
Oh my gosh, I knew country music was for me, and I knew college wasn't for me. So moved here, lived with a single mom for 2 years.
How'd you find her?
Through my aunt. She had just moved here with her son, and so it was great. Lived in Brentwood, like in like a cute little neighborhood, and I was the youngest person there for sure. It was all like soccer moms and me.
And you're from California originally, right?
I am.
So did you pack up a car and drive it all the way?
I did.
Yeah.
Yeah, I literally packed up my Jeep and I drove here with my friend that I did musical theater with, because I'm one of 5 kids. My parents are so amazing, so supportive and awesome, but it was hard. It's hard when you have 4 other kids you can't pack up and like leave everything, to come. And so I still look back and go, I can't believe they let me do that. But I guess they had enough, they knew I wanted it bad enough, and that I worked hard enough that they're like, okay, she's serious about it. So moved here, and I knew one person, and started there.
So when someone moves to town, and because it's not like you had a massive group of, you didn't have a community here, right? You had to find it once you arrived here.
100%.
When someone starts in this town, like, where do you start? Because obviously you want to do music, but how in the heck do you move here and start doing music? What does that even mean? Do you find, do you call restaurants, be like, can I play in your how does that work?
Through friends that had heard me sing, because I'd already kind of been singing, doing studio work for people and touring with people, and just kind of doing whatever I could, wedding bands, everything, anything and everything. Started singing in a restaurant that I worked at, and started singing demos for songwriters.
You worked and then sang?
I did.
That's so cool.
Yeah, I was called Whitfields. We had another name for it, but
what was that? I'll bleep it.
It was Shitfields.
Funny. We'll bleep it.
Uh-huh.
So, did you wait tables?
I did.
And then you sang as well?
Oh yeah, I cleaned houses.
Yeah.
I cleaned houses for a while, just because that, it's cash. It's cash.
I cleaned houses. It was cash.
Yeah.
My grandma and I used to clean houses together.
Did you really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, we used to go and clean condos and houses all the time, and it was cash.
You see all kinds of things. Like nothing's more humbling than when you clean someone's house, And so, but I would put on, I would listen to music and just go on my music dives, my deep dives of Bob Dylan and, songwriters that I wouldn't sit around and listen to otherwise. And it was a way just for me to have enough income to support wanting to do music and doing writers' nights. Eventually started playing guitar more just because I couldn't really afford to pay other people to come play guitar with me. And and so like the word kind of got around, and just I went to every writer's night. I showed up to the Bluebird 3 days a week and met people like Tom Douglas, who ended up hiring me to, record demos for him. And then you end up writing with these people. So just sort of, there's nothing like that momentum of when you first move somewhere or here and you just feel like, I'm going to take on the world, until you get your head pounded to the pavement for like another decade.
Yeah. I saw Jelly Roll bring you out for a song at one of his big shows. How do you guys know each other?
Let's see. I'm trying to figure out where we first met. Okay. It was the CRS Paddle Royale, and I showed up in
a ping pong tournament?
Uh-huh.
Got it.
And I wore like a full neon onesie for Neon Baby, my song. So it was like a whole 80s, I went all out with my outfit. And we met there, and I think he's like, I love your spirit. That was kind of like where the friendship started, and then just kept running into him at festivals. That we played in. Stagecoach was probably the time I spent the most time with him and his wife.
Like such a nice guy, right? Like it's genuine.
He's the best.
Yeah.
He is the best, and I love that God has positioned him in this place now where he is on this platform, because I feel like he lifts everyone up around him. The opener, like he lifts everybody up that's around him, and what an amazing quality.
Annie Bosko is here. If you don't mind, I know you have your guitar. Would you mind playing something for us?
I'd love to.
Yeah, what are you going to play for us?
I'd love to. Okay, so I thought it might be kind of fun to do like a little, we're going to do a medley. Don't worry, it's only 3 minutes, the duration of one song. I'm not going to go.
I mean, the funniest joke ever would be someone going, we're going to do a medley and doing like 12 minutes and not warning us. That would be the greatest joke ever. We were not worried. So it's a medley of your stuff?
It is, yeah.
Okay.
It's a medley of a song that's out. It's called Heartburn, that I put out with Dwight Yoakam this year, who's one of my musical heroes. And then, segueing into a new song that's going to come out called California Cowgirl. And I feel like they both kind of embody me.
You guys can follow Annie at Annie Bosko. Very easy. You have an original name, so that works.
Thank you.
I do not. People stole mine, so I have to do Mr. Bobby Bones. Question for you about songwriting, because I was looking at some of the people that have cut your songs.
Yeah.
There have been a lot of people that have cut your songs. Willie Nelson. If I say the person, do you know what song they've cut that you've written? Do you know them all? Have you memorized?
Of course. Yeah, of course.
There's a lot, though, is why like Willie Nelson. What has he recorded?
You're Full.
Okay, Marie Osmond.
Wild and Sweet.
Jessica Simpson and Rita Wilson.
Oh, man. Jessica was Heartbeat, and we wrote a few together. Heartbeat, we wrote You're a Fool together. Those are the two that she put on her audiobook.
That's pretty cool.
And Rita Wilson, The Spark, Along for the Ride, Big City, Small Town Girl, The Bigger Picture. We've written a lot of songs together.
You opened for my favorite band, Counting Crows. Did you play?
I did. That's awesome.
That's crazy. Well, I mean, my sad Counting Crows story. I love the Counting Crows, but Adam Duritz was coming to my house at some point to do like just an interview during the pandemic, and somebody in the band got COVID and he didn't come. And so but then he ended up coming to the studio later and we did a thing. But like I love Counting Crows.
Oh yeah,
that was super cool for me.
Yes.
So how was that? Like, how did you? What happened there? How'd you get that gig? Because I'd like to have that gig sometime. That's why I'm asking. I'm looking for inside information.
Now that I know, no, we'll make that happen. I played the Preakness, which is like they do a crazy, it's the big horse race in Baltimore, but they do a huge concert series.
Yeah.
And so they were the headliners and I got to open for them.
That's super cool.
I didn't really get to interact with them, but obviously been a huge fan for a really long time.
You guys follow Annie at Annie Bosko. We played her song Better Than You with Joe Nichols a little earlier, and go to AnnieBosko.com. It has been awesome to have you, and thank you for playing.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for talking with us.
Thanks,
and anything before we go?
Yeah, I'm obsessed with her style. So just
thank you.
Favorite place to shop.
I love it. Revolve.com.
Eddie, marked it down?
Yeah, I'm writing it down.
Okay. I have a feeling you're not going to find what you like over there, buddy.
All right.
You might.
I appreciate that. It's usually a mix of things. I'm sponsored by Ariat, who I love. These are their boots, kind of more of a vintage look. I try to mix like vintage with new stuff, but thank you. I appreciate that.
And you find your vintage stuff online or?
Online,
Okay.
yeah, or sometimes like this was from the showroom, which is Nashville, but they're vintage collections. So I like to mix like, vintage pieces or rings or jewelry with newer stuff.
I'm inspired.
And these
I
are
mix-
Amazon, like $30. These
Okay,
shorts.
see,
There
high
you
low,
go.
I love it.
I mix vintage with new stuff too, but it's just stuff I had in college versus stuff I buy now. It's the same mix. Yeah, it's all stuff I bought. But at Annie Bosko. Annie, thank you so much. There she is, Annie Bosko, everybody.